What if I told you she already wants you? Not maybe, not potentially, not if the stars align. She just doesn't want you to know it. Women don't always confess desire with words. They reveal it with behavior. And if you know what to look for, the signs are painfully obvious. Let's talk about the proof. Inconsistent but intentional behavior is one of the clearest yet most misunderstood signs of hidden attraction. When a woman secretly desires you, her behavior may appear unpredictable on the surface, but beneath it lies emotional calculation. She might take hours to respond to a message, then suddenly send a thoughtful paragraph late at night. She may cancel plans once, only to reschedule with more enthusiasm than before. To an unaware mind, this looks confusing. To an observant one, it reveals inner conflict. Attraction creates vulnerability, and vulnerability makes people cautious. She is not unsure about you. She is unsure about exposing how much she feels. This push and pull dynamic is rarely random. When interest is absent, consistency fades into indifference. There is no return, no re-engagement, no effort to maintain connection. But when she secretly wants you, distance is temporary. She pulls away to regain control, to avoid appearing too invested, to test whether you will remain steady. Then she comes back because desire does not disappear simply because pride demands restraint. The inconsistency is not emotional instability. It is emotional protection. She is managing her image while battling genuine attraction. You will notice that even in her distance, there are subtle threads of connection. She watches your stories. She reacts indirectly. She finds reasons to stay in your awareness. Her withdrawal is never complete. It is strategic space, not abandonment. She may act busy, preoccupied, or slightly detached, yet the door is never fully closed. The intention is to slow the pace without ending the possibility. When someone truly does not care, they do not create space, they create absence. There is a difference. Often this intentional inconsistency is a subconscious attempt to maintain power. When feelings grow, control feels threatened. By alternating warmth with coolness, she regains emotional balance. She wants to see whether your confidence remains stable regardless of her shifting energy. If you react emotionally to her distance, it confirms that she holds influence. If you remain grounded, it builds her respect and deepens her attraction. The fluctuation becomes a silent conversation of emotional positioning, where both sides are measuring stability, desire, and value without directly stating any of it. Emotional reactions to your attention are one of the most revealing ways a woman signals hidden interest. When she secretly wants you, your focus becomes her emotional barometer. Every glance you give to someone else, every conversation you have with another woman, every small shift in your attention triggers a subtle but immediate response in her. She may not say a word, she may smile or laugh as if nothing changed, but her energy shifts in ways that are nearly impossible to fake. These reactions are not random, they are instinctual. The human brain is wired to detect shifts in attention and desire, and when she values you, your focus matters to her in a way it does not to someone she does not care about. You may notice that when your attention is elsewhere, her mood subtly changes. It could be a fleeting look of disappointment, a slightly forced smile, or even an unconscious mirroring of your body language as if she's trying to pull you back. She may become quieter, more reserved, or even slightly playful, testing whether she can regain your attention. These emotional responses are often unconscious because at this point, her mind is reacting faster than her ability to filter her feelings. The intensity of these reactions often correlates directly with the depth of her interest, and for the observant eye, they are hard to miss. Someone who is indifferent simply does not react. A woman who is subtly invested reacts emotionally, even if she does not express it verbally. This is especially evident in group settings. When you laugh at someone else's joke or pay attention to another woman's story, she may shift her posture, fidget, or find ways to interject herself into the conversation. The effort is not overt, but it is deliberate. She wants to re-establish her emotional presence without appearing needy. Even a small shift of your gaze toward another person can trigger a cascade of micro reactions, quick glances, changes in tone, or subtle teasing that reveal her subconscious desire to remain central in your awareness. These reactions are often nuanced and layered, but they are consistent indicators of emotional investment. Her response is not always negative or dramatic. Sometimes it manifests as extra charm, flirtation, or warmth when she notices your attention wandering. This is her way of signaling interest without outright confession. It is a delicate balance between protecting her vulnerability and asserting emotional influence. By subtly reacting to your focus, she communicates both desire and boundaries, showing that she cares enough to notice but wants to see how you handle it. In essence, your attention becomes her mirror, reflecting her hidden feelings in ways that words cannot convey, creating an intricate dance of emotional awareness that only grows stronger with time. Subtle jealousy signals are one of the most telling indicators that a woman secretly desires you, and yet most men completely overlook them. Unlike overt jealousy, which can be dramatic and obvious, subtle jealousy is quiet, almost imperceptible, but deeply revealing. It often emerges in micro expressions, slight changes in tone, or fleeting body language cues that happen in real time. When she sees you giving attention to another woman, whether it's a coworker, a friend, or even a stranger, her reactions may be barely noticeable at first glance, but they are deliberate. A brief tightening of her smile, a quick glance that lingers longer than usual, or a sudden shift in posture are all ways she registers her awareness of your focus and communicates, without words, that she cares. These signals are instinctual because jealousy is rooted in emotional investment, and investment does not exist without attraction. This kind of jealousy is rarely aggressive. She won't confront you openly or accuse you of anything. Instead, it manifests subtly through tone of voice, facial expressions, or small actions designed to reassert her presence. For example, if you compliment another woman or laugh at her joke, she may respond with a slightly sharper tone, a playful tease, or a momentary withdrawal. She is not trying to start conflict. She is subconsciously testing your reactions, seeing whether you notice her shift and whether she still holds emotional influence over you. These micro reactions are consistent patterns rather than one-off occurrences. Over time, they form a clear behavioral signature of hidden desire that is difficult to fake. A woman who is indifferent will remain unaffected, but a woman who secretly wants you will allow these subtle ripples of emotion to show themselves. Jealousy is also expressed through small, indirect attempts to maintain your attention. She might interject herself into conversations, laugh a little louder, or physically position herself closer to you when another woman enters your space. These actions are often unconscious, driven by the mind's desire to secure emotional connection without risking exposure. The key is that her behavior is inconsistent yet intentional. Sometimes she might act playful, sometimes distant, sometimes competitive, but it always revolves around your interactions with others. She is communicating something powerful without ever saying a word. She notices, she cares, and she wants to matter more than anyone else in your immediate world. Even when she doesn't overtly act on jealousy, her energy shifts in ways that are hard to ignore if you are attentive. Subtle jealousy is not about insecurity or neediness. It is about prioritization. She is signaling her emotional stake, showing that your attention holds value and that she is invested in keeping her position in your life. These signals are often fleeting, sometimes so small that they are easy to dismiss, but they are incredibly consistent once you start paying attention, and they reveal more about her feelings than any direct confession ever could. Private vulnerability is one of the most powerful signs that a woman secretly wants you. And yet it is often overlooked because it doesn't come with bold statements or dramatic gestures. When a woman allows herself to open up to you in ways she doesn't with others, it's an unconscious signal of trust and emotional attachment. This vulnerability is rarely public. She will not broadcast her insecurities or personal stories to the world because that would diminish its value. Instead, she shares these parts of herself in private moments, during late night conversations, quiet walks, or even brief one on one interactions where she feels safe. The willingness to show her inner self is expensive, emotionally speaking, and women rarely give it to someone they do not care about. When she chooses to let you see behind the carefully curated mask, it is an unmistakable indication that she has positioned you in a special place in her emotional world. This kind of private vulnerability can take many forms. She may reveal small insecurities, personal struggles, or memories she rarely talks about. She may share her dreams, fears, or doubts, not seeking advice necessarily, but testing whether you can hold space for her emotions without judgment. The way she reveals herself is often gradual. She does not dump her life story all at once. Instead, she allows pieces of herself to surface over time, measuring your reactions and gauging whether you are someone she can rely on emotionally. The subtlety is crucial. If she shared everything with everyone, it would lose meaning. But by selectively choosing to be vulnerable with you, she is signaling both trust and desire. Another key aspect is emotional responsiveness. When she is private with you, she often shows a level of emotional depth that is missing in her interactions with others. She might laugh at your jokes differently, listen more intently, or respond with a softness that she hides in public. These shifts are not performance. They are instinctive reactions to comfort and emotional safety. Vulnerability is a form of investment. It requires courage because revealing your inner self opens you to potential rejection. By choosing to do so with you, she is implicitly saying that your presence matters, that your reactions have weight, and that she values your opinion in a way she doesn't with others. This private vulnerability also strengthens the emotional bond subtly but powerfully. It creates moments of intimacy that are difficult to replicate in group settings. When she confides in you, even about small things, she is testing the waters of emotional closeness, seeing if you are someone she can rely on without risking exposure. This is not about casual friendship. It is about establishing a connection that is deeper than surface level interaction, a connection built on trust, attention, and the quiet acknowledgement of mutual understanding. Testing your confidence is one of the most subtle yet revealing behaviors a woman exhibits when she secretly wants you. It's not about playing games or creating unnecessary drama. It's about gauging your emotional strength, your stability, and your ability to handle attraction without losing composure. When she challenges your opinions, questions your decisions, or pushes your boundaries, she is observing how you respond under pressure. Confidence is magnetic, and women are naturally drawn to men who remain grounded regardless of external circumstances. By testing you, she is trying to measure whether you have the self assuredness she finds attractive and whether your presence can provide the kind of stability and reassurance that complements her own emotional depth. These tests are often subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but they reveal volumes about your perceived value in her eyes. This testing can appear in many forms. She might tease you about a small mistake, challenge your perspective on a trivial matter, or even question your intentions in a playful, almost flirtatious way. The goal is not to provoke conflict, but to see whether you can maintain composure and respond with confidence instead of defensiveness. A woman who is not interested will rarely engage in this dynamic. She has no reason to probe, no curiosity to satisfy. But when desire is present, these challenges become a way to evaluate your emotional resilience, your sense of humor, and your ability to navigate subtle social tension. How you respond informs her perception of your maturity, your strength, and your potential. As someone who could be trusted with deeper emotional connection, often these tests are indirect and intertwined with flirtation. She might make a seemingly critical comment about your choices, only to follow it with a smile or light laughter. She watches closely to see whether you react with insecurity, irritation, or calm confidence. The moments where you remain grounded, self assured, and even playful in the face of her subtle provocations amplify her attraction. Conversely, overreacting or showing neediness can signal to her that emotional stability is lacking, which diminishes her interest. Her tests are not malicious. They are a method of assessing compatibility on an emotional and psychological level. Another layer of this behavior is the gradual escalation of tests. Early interactions might involve light teasing or minor challenges. Over time, as she grows more comfortable with your responses, the tests may become more nuanced, more personal, and slightly more daring. Each interaction provides her with more data, more insight into your character, and your ability to navigate desire, attention, and emotional tension. These challenges are rarely conscious on her part. They are instinctual, designed to reveal how much you value yourself, how resilient your confidence is, and how secure you are in navigating the dynamics of attraction without needing explicit reassurance. Investment without admission is one of the most telling signs that a woman secretly desires you, and it is often overlooked because it doesn't come with verbal confirmation or obvious declarations. When a woman wants you but isn't ready to admit it, either to herself or to you, she communicates through action rather than words. She invests her time, energy, and attention in ways that are subtle but deliberate. It could be remembering small details about your life, checking in at unexpected times, or going out of her way to make you feel seen and appreciated. These efforts are consistent even when she avoids explicitly acknowledging her intentions. The investment is a silent message. She wants to matter. She wants to be present in your life, and she is actively creating opportunities to strengthen your connection without ever needing to label it. This kind of investment often appears in everyday behaviors that might seem small to an outsider, but are significant when observed closely. She notices the little things about you that others might overlook. The coffee you always order, a deadline you mentioned, a personal preference you casually stated, and acts on them in subtle ways. She might send a message to check how your day went, offer help or advice at a convenient moment, or give thoughtful feedback when you share something personal. These gestures are quiet, consistent, and intentional. They are investments made without the need for public acknowledgement or validation, and they indicate that her emotional energy is tied to you, even if she refuses to label it as interest or desire. Another aspect of this behavior is the way she balances effort and appearance. She invests without admission by putting effort into interactions that matter, but never in a way that feels forced or obvious. For instance, she may dress a certain way around you, make subtle adjustments in behavior to align with your preferences, or ensure she's available during moments when her presence could be meaningful. All of this occurs without verbal acknowledgement. She does not need to say, I like you, because her actions communicate it more powerfully than words ever could. The ambiguity allows her to maintain control while still expressing desire, creating a dynamic where her presence and effort speak louder than any confession could. Investment without admission is also a test of your awareness. She is watching whether you notice, whether you value the effort, and whether you reciprocate in ways that match her subtle engagement. By investing quietly, she is signaling her emotional stake while maintaining personal boundaries. This behavior reflects both strategy and instinct. It's about connection, observation, and desire without explicit vulnerability, a way of quietly claiming a space in your life while keeping her intentions private, allowing her to gauge your interest and responsiveness over time. All of these signs, her inconsistent but intentional behavior, her emotional reactions to your attention, the subtle waves of jealousy, her private vulnerability, the ways she tests your confidence, and her investment without ever admitting it, paint a clear picture. When a woman secretly wants you, she communicates through action, energy, and presence rather than words. Every glance, every subtle gesture, every moment of attention is a thread connecting her to you, revealing desire in ways that only those who are truly observant can notice. Understanding these signals is not about manipulation or decoding a puzzle. It's about recognizing the depth of her interest and valuing the connection she is quietly nurturing. The truth is that desire doesn't always come with confession, but when you learn to read her behavior, you begin to see a story that words often fail to tell.